Hi everybody, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this really cool project for our Christmas themed November blog hop. I'm part of Team Stampin, and we do a blog hop once a month, and this one is Christmas themed. So I thought instead of a card I'd make you a really fun box that you could fill with some really cute cards and give to someone that you care about, someone that maybe does a service for you like a babysitter or a nanny or a good friend, maybe someone that's in a part of a book club, or even someone at your PTA that you're really good buddies with that you wanted to give them a little something that you were thinking of them. Before I show you how to do this, I just want to remind you that on Monday, November the 20th, Stampin' Up! Is going to start their online extravaganza. They have a lot of stamp sets that are going to be on sale November the 20th only, and they're 20% off. A bunch of cute ones are Cool Treats, Celebrate You, Remarkable You, which is a really beautiful stamp set. And then there's also some Christmas stamp sets in there as well. And then they have another sale that is going to be going on from the 20th through the 26th, and that has different things depending on what the item is, different prices. So they have a paper pumpkin refill 50% off. They have the cellophane bags are 40% off. There are some thinlits that are 30% off. They have some great sale on the watercolor pencils. If you haven't gotten those yet, they're 20% off. Some baker's twine, stamping glitter, and then a whole bunch of different items. So some of the sale does go from the 20th through the 26th, but some of the sale is only on for the 20th only. So you have to make sure that you process your order by the end of the day on the 20th, or you will not get the special sale price. I will post all of this on the blog so you can see all of the items that are for sale right now. And again, this starts on November the 20th. And it starts at, I believe, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, but I will make sure I put that on the blog, and I'll put the full list. And you can get any of these supplies and everything that I'm making today for this really cool project in my online store, www.rachthestamper.com.stampin''up.net. Woo, got a little carried away. Okay, so anyway, on to this really, really fun box. So I made this box using Thick Whisper White, and I used the Be Merry Designer Series paper, and that's got a lot of fun different patterns in here. It's got the red bells, green, a whole bunch of different stuff. So this is a great set to use, and it coordinates really well with the Whisper White paper. Now the second card, or the second box I'm going to make, I'm going to actually use Very Vanilla, and I'm going to use the Christmas Around the World Designer Series paper because it is my absolute favorite. I really, really love it. But as a bonus, I'm going to put another card, or I should say another box, onto the blog, and I'm going to use some thinlits. So you're really going to want to go to the blog and check that out. And also while you're there, make sure that you leave a comment along with hashtag #StampItContest, and you'll be entered to win a really great prize that we're giving away. We give away a prize every month when we do the Stamp It blog hop. It's usually a card kit or something really fun. There's no purchase necessary to enter, so just make sure you leave a comment and leave Stamp It Contest, and that will enter you to win. And also, we have the winner of last month's blog hop posted on the blog as well. So make sure you go to rachthestamper.com to get started so you can see all the alternate projects that I put for this. So this is kind of designed after something that I remember as growing up with my mom, that she always had a little checkbook box that the checkbooks came in. This is a little bit smaller, so that usually was a little bit fatter, but it was kind of the same premise. So what I did was I had created this a while back, kind of during Celebration last year, and I thought I would update it for the holidays. So I just basically made this little box, and when you open it up, it has some little note cards and then the little note card envelopes in it. So you could give this to someone that you wanted to give like a really fun gift to, or someone that's been maybe kind of thinking about starting Stampin', but they were a little bit nervous. So you could bring them in with something like this. And I'm going to show you how to make two other cards once we get started using washi tape. So these can be really simple cards. They could be very elaborate. It's completely up to you. Also, if you wanted to, you could even decorate the front of these with some designer series paper and then put a sentiment on the inside. So they could be really, really easy. And the other thing that you could do as well is you could make these as thank you cards, thinking of you. They certainly don't have to be Christmas cards. So keep that in mind when you're giving these, or when you're making the cards, depending on who you're giving them to and what you're giving them for. But the ribbon on this really will slide off very easily. And this is the, I believe, the quilted ribbon, and it's in with the quilt pack in the holiday catalog. But it was really pretty because it matched all the colors on here really nicely with the garden green. And I don't know if this is cherry cobbler or real red, but they all really go really, really well together. And then I just added a little silver foil paper, but the other versions that I have on there are really, really pretty. So make sure you check those out. So we're going to get started. And what we're going to do is, this is my template, okay? So I'm going to show you how to make it. It's very easy. And this is one full sheet of 8.5 by 11 Whisper White, okay? It's very, very simple. So let me show you how to get started. You could do this with your Simply Scored scoring tool if you'd like, or you can just use your Stampin' trimmer. Either one is fine. And what we're going to do is we're going to score this starting on all 4 sides at 1 inch, okay? So I'm going to score it. I'm going to flip it around just so it makes sense to you when I'm flipping it. So we're doing the opposite side. Get that whole thing? Yes. Then we're going to turn it again. This is the 11-inch side. We're going to score it at 1 inch. And again, 90 degrees, turning it around, and we're going to score it once more at 1 inch. Okay, so this is the 11-inch side. So now what we're going to do, just for the sake of making this easy, is we're going to take our score line, our 1-inch score line, and we're going to move it to the 4-inch mark. And we're going to score. And then we're going to turn it all the way around again. So again, we have our 1-inch score line here. We're going to line that up with the 4-inch mark and score. So basically, when you're finished, you have 1 inch on each side. You have 1 inch on each side and then 1 inch in the middle. And I hope that makes sense. But when I trim this out, it should be much easier. You do want to keep your trimmer handy because you will need to trim out your Designer Series paper to decorate it with. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold on the score lines and make sure that I really go over it with my bone folder. That way the box will stay nice and closed when you score it, and it won't end up kind of, sometimes when you don't score it well enough, you'll have a box that the lid will kind of keep popping up on, which to me is very annoying. So if you score these really nicely, you won't have that problem whatsoever. All right, and one more side, and then we just have a teeny bit of trimming to do, and easy. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to just trim out some tabs here. Okay, and if this is a little hard to see, I do have one that I did in an old piece of paper, so this might be a little easier. So what we're going to do is trim the tabs. Luckily, this is two different colors. We're going to just trim up all these tabs on here, and that will make much more sense once you see it. So just grabbing your paper snips, you're going to just trim up to the score line on all these little tabs. And then flip it around and do the same thing. One more. Okay, and then before I put this away, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just give this a little bit of a miter cut just so it goes together really snugly. Not snugly. Oh, well, snugly. It is winter. When we put the box together. I know snugly is also the term, but for some reason when I was thinking of snugly, I was thinking of snuggling on the couch with someone. So out of context, it didn't really make sense. All right, so we're just turning it around, and we're going to just do a little trim again. Okay, and one more. All right, so now basically what's going to happen is these are going to fold in on each side, just like that. These here in the back are going to fold in, and then these are going to fold in to make the lid. So it's really, really simple, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to pick our Designer Series paper, and I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to use the Christmas Around the World Designer Series paper. I'm just not 100% sure what I'm going to use yet. I really, really like this plaid. It's so pretty, especially all the stuff with the little cookies on the other side. That's adorable as well, so I think we might use that. I think that is what I'm going to stick with. That way it'll be really pretty against the vanilla. But this has so many cool sets. You could use the little nutcrackers. You could use the snowflakes. And you could even cut out one of these to decorate the front with instead of making something with it. So let's get started. And I think we're going to have enough for this piece. Let me see. No, that one's going to be a little too shy. So let me make sure I have one more piece before we start. There we go. Okay, so this will be like a tartan plaid, and then again, I do have another one that I'm going to show you how to do, but it's going to be, the way it's going to be decorated will be on the blog. So since all of our score lines here are 1 inch, what we're going to do is we're going to cut at we're going to cut at 3/4 of an inch. If you wanted to, you could certainly make it 7/8 if you wanted to. It just really depends on what you want to do. So how about, yeah, we'll scoot up to 7/8. So we'll move that. We're going to get 2 of those because we're going to need 2 long ones, and then we're going to need 2 short ones. So I'm going to cut one more just for good measure. Okay, and I will put all the measurements for this on the blog, so don't feel like you have to remember it right now. And then what we're going to do, so we have two sides here that are 4 inches, so we're going to just cut those at 3 7/8. And then we have 2 that measure, I'll put those on the side, 2 that measure 6 1/2. So I'm going to make them maybe just a hair shy. So that should be probably like 6 3/8, I think. Let me make sure these fit on here. Yep, they'll fit. And again, I will put all the measurements on the blog for this. And then we have to cut one more piece that's going to fit across the top. So at this point, if you decided you wanted to do the plaid, but you wanted to flip it over for the cookies, that would be perfectly fine. You could also swap out for something else in here that has a little bit of red in if you wanted to. You could do your nutcrackers onto the top. That would be really fun. You could do this traveling paper on here as well. That will be super fun, or the snowflakes. But for right now, I'm going to stick with just the plaid. But again, you can always swap out whatever you like. It's your box, and I'm sure whoever you make it for, they're going to absolutely love it. Okay, so again, this measures just under 4 inches, so it's like 3 7/8 by 6 1/2. So what I'm going to do is I have it lined up here at 3 7/8, and I'm going to, I know it's very difficult to see because of the plaid. I'm going to put this under here just for a sec so I can see the numbers a little bit. And the other thing you could do if you wanted to is you could tape a little piece of tape under here. That works well. So we're going to go, so 6 1/2, we're going to go just a little bit shy. So it's going to be 6 3/8 is where we're going to go to. So again, I'm going to just kind of eyeball this since it's difficult to see. 6. Okay, and then what I do, so this is kind of like, I don't even know what you would call this, what kind of cutting, but basically what I do now is I line it up with where I was going to cut it here, and then I'm going to just cut to 3 7/8. So it should measure out exactly and pop. Whoops, if I did, I think I just missed like just a teeny edge on this one. It should pop out almost precisely. There we go. So then we have our little piece for the front. Okay, so let me get all this out of the way. And I'm going to show you just a few other things and make sure that fits on there. Oh, that looks really fun. Okay, so we're going to make sure that when you put this together, you need something strong. So you can either use Tombow liquid glue if you have a little bit to hold it, or you want to use tear and tape, okay? Because basically you just want to make sure that this is really going to stay really, really well together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear off some little strips of tear and tape. And I'm going to put these on here, and then I'm going to show you, we're going to actually add the designer series paper before we put this all the way together, okay? So when you put your pieces of tear and tape on here, what I usually do is just lay them down, and then I'll go back and kind of press on them with my bone folder just to make sure they really stick to the side I've put them on. And then also that will make sure that they really stick when you put them together. This one's just a smidge too big. Let me just take that off. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll go back and just press this with my bone folder just to make sure it sticks really well. And then in the meantime, we're going to decorate our little box. Okay, so we do want to have one on the front. So this will be the front tab that we'll be showing, and one on the box lid. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put both of those on first. And again, I would definitely use Fast Fuse or Tombow liquid glue for this. That way it sticks. Nothing worse than giving somebody a project and the next thing you know, the paper's peeling off, because that has happened to me in the past. And I think it was when I was just being a little bit more cheap with my tape, because I thought, well, why does it need to hold? Well, it needs to hold because a lot of times if you give someone a really lovely present, they will keep it. They will keep it forever. I have given a lot of people things, and even, I'm going to tell you honestly, a lot of kids. And believe it or not, they will hold on to something if they really love it, if it really makes them feel special. I kind of went over there just a little with my glue. So I just, if you rub your finger, it'll kind of make the glue ball up. Now, one other thing I wanted to tell you ahead of time, if you want to put a little hole in this, a little notch, you are going to want to punch it with like maybe a 1/2 inch circle punch here. But with the designer series paper, it probably be okay, but you don't want to punch through too many layers at the same time, okay? So we're going to put our piece on the top as well. So we'll go ahead and put that up there. Same thing, but again, nothing worse than giving somebody something and then it ends up falling apart. And again, sometimes when you're just starting out and you think, oh, it doesn't really need that much. It does. Okay, so if this is going to be our top, what we're going to do is we're going to want to put our other pieces of Designer Series paper here, because this side is going to be covered. And I made the mistake of doing that the wrong way the first time. So that's why I want to make sure you don't. So we're going to put that on here. Make sure it's nice and lined up. And then one on this side. I really love this Designer Series paper. I'm going to have to make sure I ordered more of it. There's some paper that I really love and some paper that's, you know, it's pretty and it's okay, but there's some stuff, I tell you, when I love it, I buy a lot of it. Okay, so now we're going to just put our box together. So we're going to go ahead and remove the front 2 tabs first. Okay, and then what you're going to do is just bring this in, and you just want to line it up so it's square and just give it a really good push. Okay, so same thing here, line it up and just give it a really good push. And then I would say to do the top one first. The good thing though, if you just do decide to use the Tombow liquid glue, is if you mess something up, it does give you a little bit of time to reposition. So Tombow is really good for that if you're a little bit nervous about lining up your Designer Series paper. All right, so that's the top of our lid. Okay, so now only thing we have to do is we're going to put these to this, that way we can fold it over. So we're going to just take these 2 little middle strips off. Okay, and we're going to just line this up. 1 and 2. Okay, and then all you have to do is just close your lid, and there's your box. Again, so if you think it will be difficult for the person to open, you could certainly put that little tab there. You just punch it with your like a 1/2 inch punch would work wonderfully, and then basically that'll give you a little notch for them to put their finger in. But the other thing, so now what you can do is you can grab 2 of your envelopes. So you could put some envelopes in there, and you could grab some Whisper White paper or Very Vanilla if you want. I just have Whisper White already cut, so I'm going to show you on that. So you have your 2 pieces of Whisper White. These are cut at 3 by 6, and then they're scored at 3, so they're little squares. And so here's my other alternative. If you don't have time, or you're doing this at the last minute, which we all do, trust me, I do that all the time, you could do 2 things. So since this, I'm going to decorate with this with gold, I was going to show you the Year of Cheer washi tape. So if you wanted to, what you could do, make something super simple. Haven't even used this yet. So what you could do is you could take a little piece of washi tape. Where's the end? Oh, nothing worse than not finding the end of your washi. Okay, so take a little piece, and you could do this on the front or the inside. So we'll do this one just like this. Just gonna line it up, and you can trim if you want to get fancy. If not, you could tear it. Either way is fine. And we'll put a little bit of this shiny, oh my goodness, it's like the washi tape roll that never ends. Put a little bit of this on here. Okay, and we'll just trim this one off. Just, there's a little edge hanging over there too. Smidge that off. That off. And then you could put like just a little sentiment, just something nice. Thank you, thinking of you. Put that down on the bottom. And we'll add this one up top just to make it a little different. Okay, I'm going to tear that and we can go back and trim it. So you could decorate this with washi. You could stamp your sentiment on there with a little bit of embossing powder. Be really pretty. Anything you wanted, add that one in. And then if you don't want to do that, here's another thing that you could do. So you could take a piece of whatever it may be that you have. So this was just one that was sitting out. So let me just grab my trimmer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this down to 2 3/4 square, or I'm sorry, 2 7/8. So that one's, there's that. And then what you could do is you just stick this right on the front. Pop it on there. put a little sentiment, punch it out, and put that in there too. So easy cards. Your cards can be as easy or as difficult as you want them to be. And then all you have to do is just take a little bit of, let's see what we have here. We have some silver, we have some gold. This would be really pretty. The copper trim would be super pretty on that. This is a new roll I just got because this is another one that is one of my favorites that I went through so much of it. This is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ribbon though. And the one part about this ribbon too is so easy to tie. So you could take this, wrap it around, make your little bow. And this one, granted that bow's a little longer than it should be. Fix this. You could tie your bow. You could add in some of the, and you don't want this to be too tight. That way, if they want, they can slide it off without wrecking the whole thing. And you could add a little bit of this just to jazz it up if you wanted to. Make it a little more exciting. You could tie this through. Have that hanging on there. And then all you have to do is just punch out a little something, add it onto the top. There are so many things you could do. If you wanted to make yours a little bit more of a country Christmas instead, you could use the burlap ribbon to wrap it. That would be so pretty as well. I mean, look at the burlap with the plaid. Really, really pretty. There's so many alternatives. But again, I will definitely post pictures of all of these finished projects on the blog. Make sure you go there to check it out. And also that way you can enter the contest. Thank you so much, as always, for stopping by. I really appreciate this. And I also do make these projects for you guys to use. So I hope that if you do make this, you'll let me know how yours turned out. Let me know what you used. Let me know what you changed. I'd love to hear those kind of things because it gives me great new ideas as well. So thanks as always, guys, for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you stop by rachthestamper.com to enter the blog hop today. Take care. Bye.